Hallo aus Shanghai, oder wie man hier in China.
Our man Matis Kurat says Auto Shanghai is Asia's most important international auto show. He's going to show us some of the new products on display at the new International Expo Center.
Und wir wollen heute mal schauen, was es dort so zu sehen gibt.
The Shanghai Auto Show, or just Auto Shanghai, takes place in odd-numbered years. Beijing has a show in even-numbered years. Both motor shows are hugely popular and draw Chinese car makers, as well as top international manufacturers, like Jaguar Land Rover. The two brands are now owned by Tata of India, but still cultivate their British roots. Jaguar Land Rover spokesman Rolf Speth says the company sold almost 30,000 vehicles in China last year, making the country its third biggest market. This year, he says, they intend to sell even more cars here. Making its Chinese premiere is Range Rover's Autobiography Ultimate Edition, pure luxury with all-wheel drive. Mata says the car even has electrically adjustable rear seats and an Apple iPad built into the back of the front seats. Porsche celebrated its 10-year anniversary in China with a world premiere. 2 years after introducing the Panamera to Chinese buyers, Porsche brought out a version that's even faster. Mata says while the rest of the world is working on hybrid drivetrains and alternative power sources, Porsche has given its Panamera Turbo 10% more raw power in the Panamera Turbo S. Porsche's Wolfgang Haas says the car gets 550 horsepower from the V8 under the hood and 750 Newton-meters of torque, numbers that he says no GT anywhere can match. The secret is an improved turbocharger that enables the car to shoot from 0 to 100 in just 3.8 seconds and top out at 306 kilometers an hour. Race car numbers for a four-door luxury car. It goes on sale in Germany in June for about 167,000 euros. Audi, which has been selling cars successfully in China for more than 20 years, also has a big presence at Auto Shanghai. Rupert Stadler of Audi says the Q3, making its world premiere in Shanghai, is a chic little SUV. It's the realization of concept study that Audi showed in Shanghai 4 years ago, so the company is glad to unveil it here. The new compact SUV is clearly positioned between BMW's X1 and the soon-to-be unveiled Mercedes BLK. Built in Spain, a basic Q3 will cost about 29,500 euros when it hits showrooms in June. Buyers will have a choice between two TFSI engines and a TDI diesel. Mata says some companies just couldn't wait to show off their new products and did their premieres in the run-up to the show. Drive It was there. Daimler chairman Dieter Zetsche and board member Thomas Weber were on hand to present Mercedes-Benz concept study for the future A-Class. The Daimler executives say it's a very special car. Weber calls the design emotional. It has an attractive shape and has all the technical functionality that today's customers expect. He says it's a car with which Mercedes can really go on the offensive. Mercedes designers hope the expressive, eye-catching design will help attract buyers, younger ones especially. Mata says a close look reveals some similarities with a competitor from Volkswagen, the Scirocco. He says he's looking forward to seeing what the car looks like when it actually reaches the market. VW's Beetle has one of the most iconic designs in auto history. The original made cars affordable for the masses. VW boss Martin Winterkorn says the company started with the Beetle and wants to show that it still stands by what the Beetle represents. The new design is longer and lower and gives the second-generation new Beetle a more masculine, dynamic presence. It's also roomier inside, and the trunk holds 310 liters, or about 50% more than its predecessor. Matis thinks this Beetle is even more similar to the original than the first new Beetle. Whether it can achieve the same cult status, we'll have to wait and see. doesn't dream about cruising along picturesque country roads in a luxury convertible, soaking up the sunshine and enjoying the cooling breeze? We traveled to South Africa to see how 3 extremely elegant and exclusive convertibles fulfill that dream. Part of the attraction of cars in this class is what the car reflects about the driver's sense of aesthetics. Here are 3 cars that each bring a distinctive flair to the road. They are the noble BMW 6 Series convertible, Maserati's opulent Grand Cabrio, and the Jaguar XKR Cabriolet. And just letting these names roll off one's tongue is enough to realize that this kind of exclusivity comes at equally exclusive prices. In the spirit of age before beauty, we'll begin with the car that's been on the market the longest, the Jaguar. It is also the smallest of the 3, 13 centimeters shorter than, for instance, the BMW 6 Series, and narrower too. The Jag looks almost dainty, and while it calls itself a 2+2, the rear seats can't really accommodate adults, except perhaps for short distances, in an emergency. Where the Jag has plenty of space is under the hood, in the form of a hardy 5-liter V8 that delivers gobs of power. With 375 kilowatts, the XKR does 0 to 100 in 4.8 seconds and hits a top speed of 250. All that power can be seductive and may make it difficult for most drivers to achieve claimed fuel consumption of 12.3 liters for 100 kilometers. But drivers who can afford the €121,000 price tag probably won't be put off by a few extra euros at the fuel pump. Grand Cabrio means big convertible, and the Maserati lives up to its name. With a wheelbase of almost 3 meters, the car is 10 centimeters longer than the BMW 6 Series. It's also the most expensive of these 3, at €132,770. You won't need a sound system, however, because you may never tire of the music the engine makes. A driver lucky enough to get behind the wheel of the Maserati will want to find some winding country roads to relish the car's handling. The engine comes from Ferrari, the design from Pininfarina. In our view, it's clearly the most beautiful of the 3 cars. 323 kilowatts of power let the Maserati hit a top speed of 283 kilometers an hour. Fuel consumption is rated at 15 liters per 100 kilometers, but again, only if you drive the car to church on Sunday morning. Which brings us to the youngest of our trio, the 6 Series convertible, BMW's new flagship. And we mean ship. At 4 meters 90 long and 190 wide, it's a big car, though with the elegance of a sleek yacht. It's also got something of a speedboat, fast and dynamic on the curves, poised and confident on long straightaways. The high-tech 8-speed automatic helps make the BMW the most economical of the 3. The factory claims 10.7 liters for 100 kilometers, though that too needs to be taken with a grain of salt. The 650i costs €94,300, the only model under 100 grand. It has 300 kilowatts, a top speed of 250, and does 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds. At engine speeds over 4,000 RPM, the BMW starts to show its sporty side. The automatic shifts gears lightning fast, and the engine makes a sound that, while not quite as raw as the Jaguar and the Maserati, is still a delight to hear. One problem with all 3 cars is that they feel cumbersome in tight spaces. The driver sits low and gets a poor sense of the car's extremities.
Wo steht denn nun der neue 6er von BMW?
The bottom line for our test driver is that BMW's new 6 Series fits right in with this breed of luxury convertibles, a German answer to the smaller Jaguar and the more elegant Maserati, a car that can boast the most up-to-date technology and is sure to be even more successful than its predecessor. For most of us, however, driving a car like this will probably stay a dream. But at least we can enjoy looking at these beautiful cars whenever we're lucky enough to spot them in the coming summer months. Chinese car makers are also making a big presence at the Shanghai Auto Show, but many of their products look vaguely familiar. The Haval IF from Great Wall Motors, for instance, bears an uncanny resemblance to certain models made in Munich. Another car may remind some people of a more famous model from Stuttgart. One consolation may be that Chinese buyers in the market for premium brands prefer originals to knockoffs, especially when the original comes from Germany. A booming auto market also brings problems with it. Air pollution, for instance, in mega cities has increased interest in alternative engine technologies. Almost all of the exhibitors at the Shanghai Auto Show are presenting new ideas, and electric motors of various kinds lead the way. Be it pure electrics running off batteries or hydrogen fuel cells, plug-in hybrids or electrics with range extenders, it's starting to look like the industry really is at the dawn of an electric era. Greenline is the badge Skoda puts on the most fuel-efficient models of its various products. To see just how economical and green these cars are, we decided to put a superb Greenline station wagon through its paces. Greenline models have been tweaked in various ways to reduce fuel consumption as much as possible. Those tweaks include the use of diesel engines, tuned for maximum efficiency, automatic start-stop systems, and systems that recover energy lost in braking. We asked a professional to demonstrate how a driver can get the most out of these features and use simple tricks to save fuel and still have fun driving. German rally champion Matthias Kahle says it's important to use all of a car's potential. With engines that have lots of torque, that means using first gear just to get rolling, and then shift quickly to a higher gear, which uses very little fuel to keep the car at the desired speed. This car has the same engine used in the Octavian and the Yeti, a 77 kilowatt 1.6-liter diesel. In the Superb, it needs just 4.4 liters of fuel for 100 kilometers and emits just 114 grams of CO2 per kilometer. That's 0.6 of a liter less fuel than in a regular Superb equipped with the same engine. The Greenline features add 2,500 euros to the price tag. Kahle says a big part of economical driving is to always look ahead and anticipate what's coming. Keep a distance from the car in front so that you don't have to use the brakes as often. When traffic slows or there's a traffic light, ease off the throttle and let the car coast so that it uses no fuel at all. Turning on accessories like the air conditioning can also quickly increase the amount of fuel a car uses. Kahle says extra systems that use energy immediately increase fuel consumption, so he urges drivers to use those systems only when they're really necessary. But Kahle warns drivers should never try to save fuel at the expense of safety. If it's hot outside, he says, use the air conditioning because it's more important to be safe than to save fuel. Another factor that many drivers overlook is keeping the correct air pressure in the car's tires, but that takes some effort. Drivers who regularly check their tire pressure can achieve significant savings. Kala advises checking air pressure at least once a month. He says tires should be checked when they are cold, and for safety's sake, drivers should always adhere to manufacturer's specifications. Even tires with just slightly low air pressure can lead to higher fuel consumption. Minor aerodynamic changes to the Superb's exterior enabled engineers to reduce the car's drag coefficient from 0.31 to 0.29. Low friction tires also help reduce rolling resistance and the amount of fuel needed to keep the car moving. The suspension has also been tuned to make the car ride lower, and the underbody has been covered to reduce wind resistance. An indicator on the dashboard tells the driver when it's time to change gears, but it's just a recommendation. The decision remains with the driver. Kala says the bottom line is that the driver has a big influence in how much fuel a car uses, partly by making the most of the car's technical potential, as well as looking ahead and developing a smooth, even driving style. That can add up to significant savings. The driver can do a great deal. Drivers who follow these tips not only help reduce their impact on the environment, they also save money. Even with the Skoda Superb Green Line, you don't need to be a professional to reduce the fuel consumption by up to a third. Even if the latest generation new Beetle is currently on display at the Shanghai Auto Show, this old VW Bug is far from over the hill. Our test driver says it might seem a bit laughable to have a roll bar, bucket seats, and a racing harness in a Beetle. But then, this isn't just any VW Bug. It's a rallye-beetle, and he's going to find out more about it. Even though Volkswagen designed it as an affordable family car, in the 1960s and 70s, skillful mechanics developed a taste for transforming the little Beetle into a pocket rocket. Christoph Bauer says that the tuners and stylists really did a makeover on this rallye-beetle. The 145 horsepower engine propels you up the mountains, he says, so much so that your tears of joy are shed horizontally. The first souped-up Beetles appeared in 1951. 7 years later, Theo Decker made a business of it. In the workshops of TDE, or Theo Decker Essen, he produced almost all the parts used to tune Beetles himself. Our test driver says the last original model Beetle rolled off the assembly lines in Mexico in 2005. He notes few external changes were made to turn this one into a rally car, like these headlights and the extra oil cooler. But he says the really sporty parts are underneath, the chassis and the motor. Here, they bored the cylinders to get as many cc's as possible and installed 2 big carburetors. But our tester warns Germans wanting to soup up their old Beetles to do it in a way that fits the car's era, or the Vehicle Inspection Agency could revoke its vintage car status. Naturally, our Beetle from the Zeithaus Car Museum in Wolfsburg was tuned according to Theo Decker's original methods. This little powerhouse has a top speed of 170 kilometers per hour. In its day, it sold for some 18,000 marks, around 3 times as much as the basic model. The spare cockpit attests to its motorsport status, as does its 2-liter, 145-horsepower Boxer engine. While performance at lower engine speed range is still quite restrained, The motor really comes into its own starting at 3,000 RPMs. The Beetle was never designed to be an off-roader, even though the car is robust and reliable enough to take quite a beating. The Salzburg Beetle wrote motorsport history, scoring many victories at rallies between 1966 and 1973. Christoph Bauer says that while it's clear the Beetle was a groundbreaking car, this rally Beetle did one better. It helped the most famous and beloved Volkswagen of all time make the leap into motorsport, what he calls a definite milestone. Souped-up compacts are commonplace on Germany's roads today, following the trend kicked off by the rally Beetle.